In 1983, when German-born designer Karl Lagerfeld joined the House of Chanel, he changed the course of fashion history.
When I took it over, it was before the date of everything could be revived. Then people said, don't touch it, it will not work. But I knew it could work because there was a power and a possibility and a number of elements and the idea of a modernity, what maybe was not the most modern thing in the middle 60s, 70s, but what I could turn back into fashion later, and I felt that because the people who own it and the people who run it had the right spirit and were open-minded and ready for that.
To this day, the house is owned and controlled by the famously fresh-eye Wertheimer brothers, grandsons of one of Coco's early partners.
They didn't want it to die in respect. They wanted to know nothing from the past. They wanted the future with the element of the past, what is or what stands for, known under the name of Chanel.
Despite initial criticism, Lagerfeld returned the Chanel label to the peak of high fashion. He produced endless, innovative variations on Chanel's iconic signatures, continuing, as Coco herself did, to hold up a mirror to our times.
In a way, the Chanel jacket today, the real one or a fake one, is like a t-shirt or a jean or a pair of sneakers. It's really a basic fashion item, and I mean, there are very few of them. So I think that's extremely flattering. And what I like best about Chanel today is, what I think is the most flattering achievement in a way, that girls who are 15 wear it, and women who are their grandmothers wear it too. It's a uniform you can play with. It's not a boring uniform. It goes with a lot of things.
Before Lagerfeld, Chanel was a venerable name for society matrons. Since Lagerfeld, Chanel became the status item for fashionistas around the world.
I think what's interesting is to show that a fashion label can exist for 100 years and stay trendy. That means there is something what can go with the idea of the modern woman of every decade. You have to update things for the times we are living in, so that's not changing. That is a healthy evolution. If not, it's dead.
Visit the legendary House of Chanel, established in 1910 by Gabrielle Chanel. Today, this billion-dollar empire continues to create her signature accessories, the quilted handbags with shoulder chains and the fabled Chanel No. 5 perfumes. Chanel women's wear still reflects her dedication to perfection, from the trademark two-tone shoes to her best-remembered simple suits. Today, Chanel style lives on, revitalized by Karl Lagerfeld for the spirited 80s. Born Gabrielle Chanel in 1883, she became known as the legendary Coco. She revolutionized fashion with her own distinctive style.
Coco Chanel was born in the last century and grew up wearing corsets, long clothes, what we think of as historical costume. She created modern fashion for modern women because she was in herself a modern woman.
She did something tremendous. She took away the conventional side of fashion. She liberated completely the fashion, really.
Her liberation of fashion began with a philosophy of comfort in dressing. And even though she was born in an era of restrictive fashion, Coco envied the practical ease of the man's wardrobe and translated that ease into her best-known cardigan suits of wool jersey that were comfortable and soon to become stylish. Her influence is still felt by designers today.
Chanel has always been, obviously really someone that I've admired.
I think Chanel, absolutely. Because she gives simplicity to women, and the woman, they always look so beautiful, so feminine, with a very simple suit, a very simple dress.
Coco Chanel has become a legend for her impeccable taste, wit, and personal style. She surrounded herself with objects of beauty, and her apartment above the Chanel boutique in Paris is a study in contrast, a reflection of the woman herself. Simplicity and sophistication, understatement and luxury. An eclectic mix of sentimental pieces that are a statement of the Chanel lifestyle. She will always be remembered for giving women freedom and options in dressing. the Chanel tradition is updated by designer Karl Lagerfeld, and the image lives on in model Inès de la Fressange.
The Chanel company decided to fix everything, you know, and to show that the Chanel style, Chanel clothes was not done especially for all women and uptight women, and that Coco Chanel herself was very modern and used to do clothes that was very comfortable, and then it was time to show that.
Inès is a perfect example of a woman of the 80s and of the Chanel style. For me today, Inès is Coco Chanel. Coco Chanel is a concept. It's for me something very abstract, you know. She invented a concept you can use for many seasons, many years, and all kind of periods. But for me, Coco Chanel today is Inès. I could never do Chanel without Inès, because she's very modern and very classic at the same time, and a perfect beauty. And her attitude, the way she moves, and everything, that is what I think Chanel should be today. So in fact, you should talk to Inès and not to me. She knows more about Chanel than I do. I just do the collection. I'm her assistant.
I think the image of Chanel is the same concept that Coco Chanel decided, but it had to be done with the new proportions and the nowadays style. And then that's what Lagerfeld, you know, understood. And then it's the same kind of fabrics, very good quality fabrics, but new proportions, but also the same concept and the same. There's a lot of things that Coco Chanel invented and that we kept, like also the little black dress, sweaters, pearls, chains with the bags, and I mean, so many things that one can keep and do a lot of things with them.
She found the right idea in the 50s to go away from the stiff designer concept of that period to something what was typically for the 50s, but easier, lighter, and in a way more modern for then, even if it was classic. And this was a very clever idea, an idea you can use in other proportions still today. For me, you know, I don't think about Chanel when I do the change in the jewelry. I more think about Madonna, because I think the real updated young version of Chanel is Madonna. For the young, it's I think the strongest influence in the world to wear jewelry, to have fun, and to make everyday life less boring. Now, there's the fashion toys. You can play with it. You can look everything different with it. You can use your clothes from 6 months ago and make it different with the chain and things. Toys for grown-up girls. Because I mean, I can make fashion only the way I see life, because fashion is life in a way. So I'm happy that you think there's some feeling of fun and it's not too boring. I mean, who wants fashion to be boring? No? You know, Chanel is all about label dressing, and people like it. For the moment, they like the name, so why are you not wearing it? We showed everything in the last 20 years, from the shortest to the longest, from the tightest to the largest. So you can play with everything, because there will never be one fashion again. There are all different ways to date it up and play with it. That's what it's all about, you know. Fashion is today a spirit, not just a hemline story.
The story of Chanel is a story of fashion history. Coco herself said it best. Above all else, Chanel is a style. Fashion goes out of fashion, style never. Today, that Chanel style lives on. Fragrance. It's every woman's luxury, and today, Chanel has added a new perfume to the fabled number 5 and number 19, Coco. Coco is a fragrance for the modern woman. Irreverent, elegant, flamboyant. Totally contemporary. A perfume with the subtlety and innovation that are the hallmarks of Chanel.
Me, for instance, I really prefer to wear a perfume like Coco. And also, the thing I like is the name too. Because, you know, there's this kind of names of perfume, very old-fashioned and very feminine. And when people ask you, what are you wearing? And it says, you know, the flower of spring or something. I'm wearing flower of spring, it's travel, you know. And then if you say Coco, it's more fun.
Come to the magic laboratories of Chanel, where master perfumer Jacques Polge tells of the creation of the fragrance Coco.
Very few people know that such an art exists, and it goes back very, very old. to Egypt, very ancient times, perfumes was something you would burn for the gods, you see. As you know, when the perfumes appeared, and they appeared in France mainly, it's a French specialty, I would say, all the fragrance house had their own nose, this is the way we call nose, you know. And Chanel nowadays is among the very few companies on the market that still created inside the company their own fragrance. We have our secret formula for all our perfumes. You know, Chanel is a company that, compared to the companies that launch perfumes very often, I mean, we very seldom launch perfume. You have to realize that number 5 was created in 1921 and is still today probably one of the leaders in the world. 19 was created, I don't remember exactly, but I think 1968 or 69. And so Coco, with our third perfume, was launched last year in Paris at the Opera. I've been working for, we've worked because I'm responsible for what is inside the bottle, you know, but today a perfume is everything. I mean, a name, a bottle, publicity, and all this. So I worked for about 4 years on the project, and I ended up with one fragrance, which is now Coco.
Coco was heralded into the marketplace with gala celebrations around the world. In New York's Metropolitan Opera House, celebrities and high society took part in the festivities which honor the birth of the new perfume, Coco. A glamorous toast to the heritage of Chanel fragrances.
Coco is a spicy amber floral, which means that the spice is the middle note. The top note is has some touch of mandarin. It's very fruity, you know. And then you go on to the woody part, and the main ingredient in the woody part, which is the bottom note of the fragrance, is sandalwood. A woman expresses herself with a fragrance. And the same way you choose your dress for the outside, I would say that the fragrance dress the inside. So I think it is very important. I mean, this is something that should be taken into consideration. After all, I mean, once a woman has disappeared, what remains of her is her fragrance, you see. I'm not very ambitious about Coco. I just hope that it lasts as long as number 5 lasts.
Coco, the spirit of Chanel. The House of Chanel enters a new shapely season under the design talent of Karl Lagerfeld. Small cardigan-cut jackets top baby-colored pastel suits. Karl captures the gypsy in Chanel with short, flounced skirts. And the newly scaled ever-classic Chanel sweater now tops wide-leg trousers. Cool, crisp stripes color Chanel's summer essentials. But black lace minis are too hot to handle. Lagerfeld rings in the season with brightly floral bell skirts. At night, a satin tunic reveals only a hint of lace skirt. And cotton satin creates feminine nighttime suiting. Flirty ruffles frame evening necklines. And navy colors a simple gown inset with classic Chanel chains. For racy elegance, black lace is the right ingredient. New flirtatious classics for spring from Karl Lagerfeld for Chanel.
I think the fabric is today the most important thing in fashion because it makes other shapes and it permits to move differently. And that's very important too, because clothes you cannot move and forget about them. Nobody wants that.
And this season, Karl Lagerfeld moves with clothes right for the moment. Karl spells it all out for Chanel with wit and humor. Keeping the look rich and funky, black leather jackets, quilted like stylish Chanel handbags, are winners over Karl's short, floating skirts. And the new Chanel suit of the season is brightly colored. Its princess line is red hot. And all Lagerfeld skirts are cut for swing. But the biggest news at Chanel is Lagerfeld stretch denim, dramatically frayed at the hemline. Patchwork tweed and denim is a new Chanel classic. And all Karl's tweeds have built-in stretch, pretty in pink for fall. And nothing succeeds like excess. Lagerfeld piles it on. At night, Chanel's signature little black dress still thrills. It's a sense of traditional luxury reworked for modern times. The power of Chanel for the 90s, from Karl Lagerfeld.
Sit back, relax, and close your eyes.
Chanel. The legend behind the label gives it incredible power. Gabrielle Coco Chanel designed a style all her own.
Évidemment, c'est ce que j'ai cherché, c'était mon but. Créer un style, il n'y en avait plus. À mon sens, car il n'y a pas de style en France. Il y a un style dans une nation, il y a un style quand les gens de la rue sont habillés comme vous. Et je crois être parvenu à ça.
People seem to like Chanel in New York more and more, so there was more space needed. And if Chanel is about luxury, it couldn't be too poor a place. It's like Alice in Wonderland, huh? Whatever the label is, the minute you pass the door, you have to have a kind of instant identification with the atmosphere, why and for what you came. the mood of what Chanel is supposed to be, the essence of Chanel, and recreate the atmosphere the Rue Cambon is famous for. I think it travels very well. It's a concept what looks right all over the world and never out of fashion.
This has been my baby. This is my dream project. And I guess it came about simply because as our business has grown, we simply outgrew the space. Well, why 57th Street is, of course, the magic question. I think it's because, if you think about it, it's the connector between everything that's going on Madison Avenue and everything that's going on Fifth Avenue.
Hello, I'm Barbara Serkis, Senior Vice President of Chanel, and welcome to our new Chanel boutique. Right here we're in the limestone foyer of the boutique, which is shaped, of course, like the famous Chanel perfume stopper. As we first enter the boutique, we walk into the accessory and cosmetic area. So as we go up these 3 steps, we'll enter into the Chanel shoe area. Coco Chanel always had her famous mirrored staircase, and this is a new version of the staircase in which we've combined mirror with French limestone. And it's a wonderful story that she always used to sit at the top of the curve of the staircase, and because the faceting of the mirror, no one could see her, but she could see everyone in the audience of all her shows. And if anyone was not reacting too well or the way she wanted them to, they were banned and never allowed to come back again. So come on and join me up the stairs. And here we're on the 2nd floor of the boutique, and we're in the area that primarily houses apparel and accessories as well. Here we are in the Chanel suite, which is a series of 2 different rooms, very much patterned after the Haute Couture salon in Paris, with Coco Chanel's famous Coromandel screens on the wall, the beige suede sofas, the bergère chairs, and the lacquer tables, all very, very evocative of how she lived and how she liked to furnish things. In our first fine jewelry store in New York, we have the reproduction pieces, which are actually the reproducing of the ones that were done for the 1932 exhibition. In addition to that, there are other pieces based on her own jewelry collection. She had amazing jewelry, and she used to love to play with her jewelry. She would take an amazing emerald necklace that had been given to her by one of her lovers, and she would just break it apart into little pieces and take some molding clay and stick them all together with fake stones.
I think that really what it all comes down to is the clothes. What's the collection all about? We've been blessed with the genius of Karl Lagerfeld. He's taken a basic core look and he's updated it with a number, using these Chanel elements. He's made it young, fresh, modern.
She was a beautiful woman who dressed for herself, who wanted to be different from everybody else, and she was around to repeat the name endlessly, longer than everybody else.
Coco Chanel was one of the true mavericks of the haute couture movement. It was bold audacity that led her to introduce women to pants. For the house's recent couture collection, designer Karl Lagerfeld harkened back to Coco's era, showing at the Lycée Bouffon, where his models wore the pants.
Everybody wears pants. It was time to make a collection, even for high fashion, only with pants. The idea was pants with everything, because I noticed that in my studio all the girls had pants and no skirts, so even the evening dresses, to move in a modern way, I thought it was good to make chiffon pants, and everything can move, everything can float, everything can run. I thought it was a modern attitude for couture for today. It was a kind of 2001 Coco Chanel look, what she would do if she would be a woman of 25, 30, 35 today.
The classic Chanel look was further enhanced by the couture beauty team.
The style of the hair for the show Haute Couture of Chanel is a bit Coco Chanel, a bit of a schoolgirl, but not well done. The hair is on purpose, not well done, but there is something very specific of Chanel also in that look, which is a bow and satin on the left side of the girl. And this is always like this in the house of Chanel, since ever. It's a classic from the house.
The general look of the makeup, the feeling is always very light and fresh, but this feeling of Coco Chanel marked in the strength of the eyebrows.
Couture has to be very diversified.
The use of accessories exemplified the look of the modern Chanel woman.
They're very important because they're very Chanel, but the new Chanel has a ring, no bracelets, no earrings, pearls, of course, clips to fix the thing, and the new thing, the ring is on the feet. Every collection is the first collection and the last collection, so it means a lot every time, but couture is something very pleasant to make, very special, what you cannot compare in the rush of ready-to-wear and all that. It's another thing, it's more detailed, I mean, you spend a lot of time for very little, but that's part of the game.
Lagerfeld masterfully blurs the line between couture and ready-to-wear each season. For his pret-a-porter collection, he sent out waves of classic Chanel with a youthful twist.
The runway was like a wave, and there's a famous Austrian play from the last century called The Waves of Love and the Wave of the Sea. And so it was Chanel's idea for the wave of Chanel, the wave of peace, love, and whatever you want. I wanted the movement of the waves, like the hemlines. I wanted a very discreet transparency. I wanted nothing aggressive, but soft.
Lagerfeld sent an upbeat message via youthful motorcycle ensembles and pops of color. The classic Chanel suit also made a showing, albeit slightly updated and sexier, replete with the usual Chanel accessories from head to toe.
Very Chanel and very today. Whatever that means today, after what happened, what will come, what the next summer may be. We don't make commercial clothes, we make clothes we hope somebody will like.
I think it's going to be a good fall.
And the president of Chanel had good reason to be confident. This season, the fashion flock was in for a treat when Karl Lagerfeld sent out new silhouettes to the beat of a favorite band, Vive la Fête.
High voltage takes on new meaning. It was so exciting. It was young, it was feminine, it was just beautiful. It had charm, but an energy level, it was just, I thought, spectacular.
Well, I mean, everyone always says Karl's the youngest, older designer in Paris, and I have to say that was probably the hippest collection we've seen yet. He's very, very, very hip, and he captured sort of everything people love about Chanel, but also made it very punk, and he had a band playing with the eyeliner on.
I think it's important to make a statement with a woman who is leading a rock band. Because I think, you know, this girl, in a way, does something to do what Chanel did in her days in another area. I think this was very Chanel, the idea of the modern woman of Chanel.
The rock and roll feeling met a Chanel trademark head on. Delicate chains flowing through the hair, not around the neck.
The look for the show of Chanel is going to be like chain extension. So it's like you have straight hair, like very clean, and you have all this like, it's like a jewelry hair.
The whole feel of this collection is something very fluid, something that allows you to move. When you've got a rock band out there, that's exactly what you want to do. It's all about movement, it's all about line, as always. We have a collection that has everything from tiny little micro mini jackets, if you like, to long, lean line coats.
The collection is made of elements. You had the feeling also, because the girls could identify with it. They could go wear that kind of clothes in this way or another way, but physically they liked the mood, the atmosphere, and made it look right.
It's not just about rock and roll, it's about today. I think it showed by the attitude, the way the girls wore the clothes. There was no more fashion models on the runway. The girls wore the clothes like it was theirs.
everything's worked around the idea of a gilet, of thin layers. So you have wide armholes and a skinny little jacket underneath. Even the dresses have the same wrapping idea, even just slipped over a slither of black satin.
They are not pretty dresses in the old sense. Most of them are material with embroidery, beautifully cut, but wrapped like a rope around the bed. So it gives a more modern attitude than a dress of a ladylike dress. I think it was important to make dresses who have an ease and that it's fun to dress, but don't feel dressy, what is completely different.
Here, accessories are just as appreciated as the signature suit. Lagerfeld gave a singular message for fall, the boot.
He sort of invented this new boot, sort of like a buckled boot that goes over your shoe and sort of acts like a leg warmer.
The idea is very simple. I like the effect of cut pants because I like pants under skirt. But most of the women, they don't want to have the bulk of a leather pants or jeans or something like this under a skirt. It looks like a few kilos more. So the best idea to have the proportion was to cut them there. Inside is a very light stretch boot, and so it stays.
I don't think there was anyone here today that didn't see that show and go, wow.
It was a crazy scene. It was a little alarming, you know, when Nicole Kidman made her entrance and the paparazzi surrounded her. It seemed like they were going to fall into the audience.
Karl Lagerfeld carefully orchestrated his chaos to partially recreate the drama of the latest commercial for their No. 5 fragrance.
There's very few stars like that, and I think that's why people go so crazy for Nicole, you know, and I think Chanel understood that people need glamour. They are also, after all, launching a new campaign, a great classic perfume.
The new commercial was directed by Kidman's friend and front row date, Baz Luhrmann.
I think the end result is somewhere between a short film and a trailer of a movie that has not actually yet been made.
Despite the pandemonium, Karl still managed to show beautiful looks for day and evening.
You see the new summer collection from Chanel, a lot of evening dresses, a little more than normally, because normally the ready-to-wear I don't do so many evening dresses, but there's everything, the sportswear, the beachwear, the daytime to the new proportion for the suit and everything.
The clothes were fantastic. The supermodels kind of got overshadowed. I think that was an interesting turn of events.
Not that they minded. For the supermodels, the show was a great chance to reacquaint themselves with the runway.
I don't even know. I can't even count that high.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
It's nice
a couple of years.
Yeah.
As a model, it's different to be on the red carpet, but I've been acting and I have 2 nice movies coming out next year, and I've been doing it for the last 5 years, so I've had to do some red carpet. Nothing like Miss Kidman.
I thought it was great because I think, you know, it was clearly Karl's decision to really make it a show about fashion, you know? Absolutely the roots of Chanel. You know, it was a great classic Chanel show.
I loved the clothes. I thought there were wonderful red carpet clothes there. I loved all the eyelet trim and the crochet trim on suits. The new Chanel suit in gold, send it home. And I just thought the dresses at the end, there was a lot of beaded, sparkly dresses, were very glamorous and perfect red carpet clothes.
I hate people who wear only one label. It's very bad because they are not a label girl. I like their private choice. One day she's in Gucci, one day she's in this. And I think that's a very good thing because if not, you're not an inspiration. If not, you're a hanger.
I thought the collection was beautiful. I mean, it's gorgeous. It's always so chic, so elegant. There's like 15 dresses that I want now.
I think to end on Nicole's dress, which is probably the most beautiful dress in the world, was a great thing, and I just think it was a great event for people.
party of the year. It's great.
The cars are lined up, I don't know how far down.
It is the event of the year in New York.
I love going into the museum when it's closed.
This is a madhouse. I've never seen a press line on both sides upstairs with people yelling. That's pretty mad.
It's an amazing night. It's a mix of fashion and Hollywood, music, celebrities.
Invariably billed as the party of the year, the Metropolitan Museum's annual gala to benefit their Costume Institute was not your average fundraiser. This season's guest honored Coco Chanel.
She really was the first woman to understand how modern women then and now want to dress.
She got women out of corsets and into cardigans and easy suits.
For me, Chanel's like this legend who made clothes that were so beautiful, and women looked so beautiful in them, and you saw them, people wore them.
You'll find models wearing a Chanel jacket with jeans, or you'll find, my grandmother loved to wear Chanel.
She was really the first designer to put women in what we now consider a contemporary wardrobe.
Well, I think she was an amazing woman. She was intelligent, she had a lot of elegance, personal style.
Virtually everything that is in the exhibit can be worn tonight.
I think of trousers on women for the first time in history.
I think of that guy, Karl Lagerfeld, with the ponytail and the glasses. That's good branding.
You have to constantly tweak things to make them valid. Karl's done an incredible job of that.
He's made it cool and funky and fresh and modern always.
He's totally immersed in the world of Chanel.
Mr. Lagerfeld just is in a world of his own and a league of his own, and anything he does just is amazing. So what else can you say?
Commonly known as the Kaiser, Karl was on hand to survey the scene earlier in the day.
Rather than a retrospective about Chanel, we were much more interested in what were those iconographic elements that made her a fashion presence. And we thought, well, this is our strategy. What we'll do is we'll take the Karl piece, juxtapose it with the Coco piece, and have a kind of dialogue between the past and the present that would allow everybody to understand what made a Chanel a Chanel.
It's not a Karl Lagerfeld retrospective. It's a presentation, an exhibition of a name. Whatever happened under that name during 100 years. That's an interesting thing.
This looks like it could be the wardrobe of a very well-dressed woman from the best dressed list from 2005.
I think what's interesting is to show that a fashion label can exist for 100 years and stay trendy. The Chanel jacket today, a real one or a fake one, is like a t-shirt or a jeans or a pair of sneakers. It's really a basic fashion item. It's a uniform you can play with. It's not a boring uniform. It goes with a lot of things. You have to update things for the times we are living in, so that's not changing. That is a healthy evolution. If not, it's dead.
You get the feeling that if Coco Chanel herself were alive right now, she'd be doing pretty much what Karl's doing.
On a cold morning in the cavernous Grand Palais, Chanel entertained music legends Sting and Trudy Styler and Marianne Faithfull. But perhaps the real rock legends were on the runway.
Like a lot of designers this season, he seemed to have been listening to a lot of rock music. They all seem to have been somewhat inspired by rock and roll and, wanted to add a little bit of an edgy attitude, I guess, to the collection.
She's a little bit rock and roll. She's a little bit lady who lunches, like all rolled into one.
It's very rock attitude, Debbie Harry. These girls, they go to music concert. So they have this attitude, but it's sophisticated at the same time.
This time we're doing like a really soft, blended brown around the eye, around the whole entire eye, and then adding a pink to the cheek to flush up the cheeks, and finishing the look with like a strong eyebrow.
Everything that's Chanel and everything that's Karl, but this time translated into wonderful, like long black chiffon dresses and wonderful ruffled shirts worn underneath the new brief little tweed jackets with a strong shoulder and the little skirts. I think that's very important. I think Karl has played a lot with proportion, so it's short over long or long over short. And the thigh-high white snakeskin boots. That's the look.
Yeah, the knee-high white boots and that chunky heel is so important right now. And I thought he did a lot of really great silhouettes. The knits were amazing. The evening wear was fantastic. I love the kind of like almost sort of filmy nightgown feeling of the evening wear. It was really amazing.
Didn't like so much the Victorian, Edwardian, I'm not really sure what period it was, but they were long chiffon black extravaganzas with beading at the neckline. And that to me looked a little frumpy and a little neither here nor there.
Always on the go, Karl is spending increasingly more time stateside.
I think for him, it's great to be able to do, you know, the urban guerrilla metropolis thing in New York, to do the strong feminine looks at Fendi, and to do the charm that is Paris. So he can do all the kind of facets of femininity that are absolutely right for the moment.
And I think it's a good thing to move. In our times, it's all about moving.
And he keeps moving. A couple of months later, Karl showed his cruise collection in New York City's Grand Central Station.
The proportions, the room, everything, the space, the story, the mood, there's nothing I don't like.
He acknowledged that the bottom line also influenced his decision to show in New York City.
Look, in a city where you do in 2 afternoons at Bergdorf Goodman, over 6 million of trunk show means that you like that in the city. Maybe you can show your collection in New York because it means that people like what you do. The cruise collection, what is a kind of real collection, but it's kind of light-hearted at the same time. It's not a dead serious collection. It's for fun, holiday, traveling, but it's not little basics for the summer. It's a real collection with special print, special tweed, special jewelry, special everything.
I thought it was beautiful. I liked a lot of, for my personal style, I liked a lot of the high-waisted jeans with the flowy tops, but I really thought beautiful for out was the black dress with the gold bows across the front, or the green one with the neckline, the only one that was bright green. There were a couple really beautiful ones like that.
I like Karl the best, I have to tell you. I think he's really an iconoclast. He's so wonderful, he's so intelligent and funny and interested in absolutely everything, and I think it shows in his clothes.
Well, I think it's also covered up and a bit prissy, but it's always a bit naughty underneath. Like there's something naughty about it. Even the shoes made everything a little naughty. And I like that.
Fantastic. I'm scared to tell you my favorite pieces in case anyone else gets their hands on them. No, I'm just kidding.
I actually thought it was a beautiful presentation. I mean, I love the idea of the skating and the clouds and the snow and the feeling of winter. And, you know, obviously climate and global warming has been a big topic this week.
We're going for a very wintry, cold, frozen face. The hair is going to go half over the face. So we need to do something strong so the face kind of gets definition through the hair. Very pale eyes, like you've been outside in the cold for 2 hours. And then a pink blush, because there's going to be a skating rink outside. It's clouds and snow, so the whole winter mood.
The attitude on the skating rink was that of a free-spirited, cold-weather college girl.
I like the idea that you think the attitude is wonderful, because it's about a game with proportion, elongation, touches of bright colors, because the summer was so black and white that I needed more color, and the boots in the same material, all this give an endless, long-legged silhouette.
I always love Karl Lagerfeld's take on Chanel because it's always so much fun and it's such a romp in the world of Chanel. So for all those girls coming out in these classic Chanel jackets with the shorter sleeves, with the blouses coming through, you know, it's always classic Chanel, but it's never bourgeois. It's always really young and playful and fun and always unexpected, and that's the part I like the most about what Karl does.
What I loved was the story behind it, was the set. The snow, the clouds that were fuming, and it made me so upset. I don't know, it was just so sad. And then at the end, it kind of all turned out beautiful. It was a story, and it was just really well done and beautifully. I mean, you could see that the girls were just looked so happy and prim and wonderful and just refreshing, and it was beautiful.
Fashion insiders were surprised as a behind-the-scenes face came front and center on the catwalk.
My job with Karl is a private secretary and his bodyguard too. But now today is different, but just for today, just for a few minutes like that, Karl wanted to put me in the show because the clothes and everything was good on me, and that's why it's just like that, for fun to have me on the show. Not really nervous, but yeah, just, you know, it's a lot of people there, it's for Chanel, it's not like a little thing, it's big things.
I think there was a lot going on, but I think even in the world of Chanel, it was really subdued and pared down period, I think, for a lot of things. You know, you didn't see a ton of chains around the neck, the waist, the wrist. You know, you saw really simple cuffs, a great bag. And even for evening, it was a lot more simple and subdued than it was before. But I think, you know what, it was unmistakably Chanel.
In the ready-to-wear, I don't put too many evening dresses because it's about daily life, it's about going out in the evening, but it's not about red carpet.
I was sort of surprised by his retro-ness in terms of the midi length and the long tweed tunics. But you know, with Karl, there's always a million different ideas in every show. So I thought the tweeds were beautiful. I love his use of color in some of the tweeds. And I thought it was a good show for him.